What if there was a book that took paranormal shifter romance and turned it on its head as far as the FMC and MMC go? What if you did that and you got basically an adult shifter romance zootopia, essentially? Well, that's why I'm here to talk to you today. As usual, it is a pleasure to have you here with me today. We are in a different setting than where we have been recently. I do have my notes with me today. I don't know if you can see it, but so far, this has been one of my favorite covers for my notebooks. It says, I don't know if you can see it, but it says I read trash. So that's very adequate for my notes. Half of my notes are just trash anyway. So today we are going to go over a book by Sarah Spade. It is titled Fade It Till You Made It. This book, of course, is a quick little fantasy paranormal shifter romance. It's more like urban fantasy than high fantasy, I should say. Anyways, it's more urban fantasy because we are set in a modern setting. We have our communities of humans and we have communities of shifters. So usually my videos will have a cover review. I, for some reason, did not write a cover review for this book. I don't know why, but I do know that on the cover I'm going to put it up somewhere. Probably here, maybe here, I don't know. But usually my cover reviews tell you what I liked about it, what I didn't like, and in general, I like the cover. I remember we have our FMC and MMC. I believe there's a possum on the cover, and we'll get into why there's a possum on the cover. So our story itself begins in a small human town with our shifter FMC. Her name is Honey Morgan, and this is important that you know right off the bat. Our shifters in this series, in this book, because we're only talking about book one today, in this book, they maintain some of their animalistic abilities and traits while in their human form. And by that, I mean their eye color, some of them, sometimes their hair color goes along with the scheme of their animal. I believe it is mentioned that they have claws, but I'm unsure if they can decide if they want their claws or retract their claws. I'm not sure about that one. Also, their teeth, they can have like fangs, typical shifter lore. But starting out this book, we find out that shifters typically choose to reside in special communities that are made up of just shifters or shifters and witches, because there are also witches in this story. Essentially, these communities are exclusive to the paranormal aspect within this world. However, our FMC, she has a rebellious streak. She's had a rebellious streak for years. For many years, she decided, I want to get out from under my parents. I want to move away. I'm going to a human community. Leave me alone. I don't want anything to do with the shifter politics, with shifter rules and etiquette, nothing like that. Just, I want to be free. So she does, and all is going well and dandy up until the point where she has managed to find herself in the town morgue, not once, not twice, but thrice. She has woken up in the morgue 3 times, and she decides, well, you know what? 3 times is probably too much. People are going to start getting suspicious. I need to leave. And so she does. And I know you're probably perplexed. You're probably thinking, well, why in the world has she woken up in the morgue? Well, let me tell you. It is because Honey is an opossum shifter, so she is not your typical wolf shifter or coyote shifter or dragon shifter, the more typical shifters that we usually see. No, she's an opossum shifter. So whenever something startles her, she does what opossums do and plays dead for self-preservation. And I know, that's cool, right? Now, when it comes down to this, Honey's parents want her to move back home, back at least into their hometown with them, and she's like, no, I moved away so I wouldn't have to be right under you and have to deal with everything that you're telling me. I need to get married, I need to find my mate, blah 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 blah. She's like, no, I'm going to move to another shifter town that is still close by to you guys, but I'm not so close that we're walking distance apart. And this shifter town that she moves to is called Moonborough, and in Moonborough is her aunt. Her aunt is a witch, so Honey is a little bit special in this world. She has both shifter blood and she has witch blood in her bloodline. So her witchy aunt owns a bakery, and her aunt decides, you know what, I'll let you take over the bakery if you want to, and there is a little apartment above the bakery, so you'll have a place to stay. And I'm going to go on vacation. I'm going to go visit my friends. Now, to understand why this is important, our FMC, she knows who her mate is, her fated mate. She knows who it is, and she wants nothing to do with it. So she buys a charm. She actually buys this from another shifter town that is a little bit out of her way to get, just because she doesn't want anybody in the town where she's living now to know what she's doing, because hey, that's obvious. Someone's going to start asking questions. So this charm that she gets, it hides her scent, so her fated mate can't really smell her, because it's a shifter romance. Shifters have great senses of smell. And this is working. She's doing well. She runs into her fated mate a couple times, and there's no alarm bells, nothing like that. Everything's fine and dandy. Until she's taking out the trash from the bakery one night and she stumbles across a dead body by the dumpster. And when this happens, she, of course, goes into the catatonic state. When she finally comes to, she is being stared down by not one but two predators because they think she's also dead. And from here, the plot just continues to thicken with Honey trying to avoid her mate finding out that he is her mate and helping catch the actual murderer that killed this person who is part of her fated mate's pack. And that is pretty much it for our synopsis in this book. That gets the story rolling. We get into seeing where we're headed, and then everything after that is just the little details that take us along through the story searching for this murderer. And of course, finally, her fated mate realizing, "You're my mate. Why are you my mate? Why did I not notice?" So now we're going to go ahead and get into my thoughts and opinions and what I did enjoy about this book. For starters, in this story, I did find it to be very interesting and very compelling that this story includes not only the predator shifters, but also the prey shifters, because, usually when we get into a book, it's always the predatory creatures that are shifters. Dragons, werewolves, coyotes, those kinds of things are what we typically see more often. Not so often do we see prey shifters, like in this book, opossums are considered prey. Anyways, like mice and deer and what else is it? I don't know. What else is a prey animal? I don't know. I can't think of anything right now. But that is the point. So we have predator shifters and we have prey shifters. Here in Moonborough, our top shifters, of course, are the wolves. The wolf alpha. He is actually seen as being the protector of all animals within Moonborough, all shifters within Moonborough. So it is not only his pack, his literal pack of wolves, but also all of the predator and prey animals that live within Moonborough. They're all encompassed below him. So he is charged with protecting them and also bringing them to justice, because is he the sheriff? I don't know. He's some kind of police guy. I think he's the sheriff. Now, another thing that I really enjoyed about this is that with everybody having their own shifter animal, these people, when they're in their human forms, they all have, because they take on very cliche characteristics of these animals. So, for example, there is a mouse shifter that is mentioned, and she's talking, and she mentions she is so thankful that there are no falcon shifters that have moved into Moonborough yet. I believe a deer shifter she's mentioned to have very big doe eyes, things like that. I found that to be very interesting and very fantastically done. She's also very skittish because, deer are typically very skittish. So I just thought that was a great way to encompass all of these animals and their characteristics within the human portion of the shifters. Now, another thing that I really enjoyed while reading this book was the aspect that our FMC is not a wolf shifter, because that is the most cliche, typical thing that we do encounter, or a straight out human. I love the fact that she was actually an opossum shifter, and she's considered a prey shifter. I know you're probably thinking, oh, well, opossums have all those sharp teeth and they eat things, don't they? Opossums are omnivores, so yes, they do eat some bugs and other things, but they also eat leaves. I believe in this story, only apex predators are considered to be actual predator shifters. So, Honey Morgan is not considered to be a predator. She is considered a prey shifter. And honestly, I found the idea that our FMC being an opossum was phenomenal. That was the thing that sold me on actually reading this book. I could honestly care less about everything else that is going on in this book other than our FMC being an opossum. And once I read this book, I absolutely ate her up. It was fantastic. And then I also found out while reading, the reason there's a possum on the cover is because this actual animal possum imprinted on her when he was a baby, when she was in her opossum form. So he basically thinks of Honey as being his mother, and he's been with her ever since. And this possum, his name is Gus, and he's been with Honey for many, many years now. But he is just so sassy and sweet, and it's cute and adorable, and I absolutely love Gus. And if you read this, you'll understand, because at the beginning of every chapter, there's like a couple sentences of what is going on in Gus's mind, and it's just so cute. He loves her so much, and it's adorable. So for this book, I did think it was a very cutesy and cozy read, and I really, really enjoyed it. But I do know that I'm not going to constantly be thinking about it all of the time. It's not going to be like knocking on my skull like Throne of Glass, like, hey, all of this tragic crap happened, think about it, or alchemized, hey, this was really messed up, but they finally got a somewhat happy ending. Those kinds of things. So this book got a 4 out of 5 stars, and I did end up giving it a 2 out of 5 chilies because it was a little spicy, but nothing over the top. It wasn't crazy. They're fated mates. Of course, they're going to do things, obviously. But there was no nodding if you're worried about that. No nodding in this book, so yay. And even then, when they do come together, it's not until pretty much the end of the actual book. Very little smut considering the title of the book, Fake It Till You Mate It. You would think it'd be like chapter after chapter after chapter, but no. It seemed more like the actual driving points of this book was, of course, the murder and the mate bond itself, but not the physical attraction and pull between mates. And I found that premise worked really well for this story, so it wasn't overwhelming, and you actually did enjoy getting to know the characters and watching their development and watching them solve this murder. That's what I found enjoyable about this book. All right, so now we're going to get into our magic system a little bit. And the magic system in this book is it's a short story, but the magic system is well developed, which is a bit unusual. Usually we just have like crazy splats of magic system here and there if it's not a longer read, if the book isn't forever long, things like that, or just compiling and compiling and compiling more and more and more within multiple books in a series. I believe this is a duology. I may be wrong. I'm not entirely sure. I have not picked up book 2 yet. So as I mentioned previously, our shifters in this book, they do have their human form, but even if they have their human form, they do maintain some animalistic characteristics. For example, their eyes. Sometimes it's mentioned that their ears are pointed. Sometimes they have fangs, claws, but like I said, I don't remember if the claws are retractable or not. Sometimes the color of their hair even matches the color scheme of their shifter animal. Those kinds of things. Plus their personalities and characteristic traits, not so much as their physical characteristics. And then, of course, also as I mentioned previously, they maintain some of their animalistic abilities while in their human forms, like, for example, Honey's opossum ability of laying dead, being in a catatonic state to avoid getting eaten by other apex predators. And another thing within this story, too, is the fact, like I mentioned previously, there are also witches, not just shifters, within these communities. So the witches in these communities, there are charms, there are potions, there are curses, there are spells, things like that. Magic can be worked into consumables like the breads in the bakery or the pastries in the bakery, because that happens to Honey when she's baking with her aunt's recipes. What else? There's also mention of an apothecary being present, and I'm pretty sure it's run by a witch, if I recall correctly. So we know that they can mix up the medicines and the charms and potions and things like that. And all of these things we run into throughout the story. But as far as like how far the extent of a witch's ability is, or what deems them magic worthy, or what manifests their magic overall, is it hereditary, is it not, things like that, we don't know. We just get the little encompassing details of an established world already, but we don't know how it comes about because that's not the focus of the story. Would I recommend you pick this up and read this? If you enjoy shifter and paranormal romances, I would most definitely say pick this up and read it. It's very funny, it's very humor coded, very light and casual. Like I said, it's more of an urban setting than actual fantasy alternate universe setting, but I personally really enjoyed it. It's not overcomplicated in their use of technology or anything like that, so nothing crazy out of this world is going on, or any fantasy world for that matter. Yes, there's a mate bond. No, there's no nodding. So if this does sound interesting, if you want to see something a little bit different with the shifter dynamic being flipped on its head a little bit, definitely pick this up. I think you'll enjoy it. I think it'll be a new fresh breath of air. And of course, if you do decide to read it, then drop me a comment, or if you've already read it, drop me a comment and let me know, because I would love to hear someone else's opinion about what they thought about this funny opossum shifter romance book. Will I be reading the next installment? So supposedly this is actually a series. I've looked a little bit into book 2. I didn't write down what the name of book 2 is. Unfortunately, I thought I did. Oh well, squirrel brain. But we do not continue to follow Honey and her mate into book 2 as being the protagonist. We actually follow her friend, who is a raccoon shifter, and she finds her mate, but something's happened to him, so now she's trying to help him fix what's going on. I'm not entirely convinced to follow the other POVs, but I'm considering it. I'm thinking about it. I think I might pick it up later on as like a palate cleanser between other heavier reads that I'm doing right now. Because, for example, I'm rereading the Throne of Glass series. I'm getting into Mistborn. What else was I reading? Something else. Oh, and I'm also trying to pick up the second installment of The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy, which was a fantastic read that I absolutely love. But those are the three things that I'm focused on right now. So I'm trying to focus on those things. Oh, and I've also gotten a book sent to me by an author. That is a surprise because I will be doing a review on that soon. This is just incredible to me. I can't wait. Just I'm excited, okay? So, yes, maybe this will be a palate cleanser at some point, but right now it is not my priority to read book 2 for this series. Similar reads to Fake It Till You Made It. So, the only things that I have right now are Fated to the Wolf Prince, which of course is part of the Omega verse. We follow an alpha looking for his mate, those kinds of things. Crazy things, right? And then in that series, we do change POVs every book for different FMCs and MMCs. But we still have these same characters popping up every now and then because they're all friends. The next one I have is The Spell Shop. This is a cozy fantasy story. I have not finished reading this yet, but it is cozy fantasy. I really liked it. We've focus on our FMC and her sentient plant and her owning an illegal spell shop. And then of course one of the classics that actually got me started on shifter romances was the Mercedes Thompson series. She is a coyote shifter and her fated mate is actually the alpha of one of the biggest packs in the United States, I believe, if not the world. It's been a long time since I've read the Mercy Thompson series, but I loved it. It was my hook from my teen years. Alright everyone, and we have made it to the end of our video today. Thank you so much for joining me while I yapped about opossum shifters and wolf shifters and other prey and predator animal shifters while sitting on a tree. It's actually kind of nice down here. It's been really hot lately. But thank you for joining me. It has been a pleasure. I can't wait to see you guys next time. I can't wait to tell you about the book that was sent to me by an author. It's called Quiet Thunder. We'll be going over that soon in my channel, so keep an eye out for that. And if you want to be brought back in case I ever do pick up the second installment to this series, then please hit that like and subscribe button down below, and I will see you all next time. Bye. Let's watch me fall off the tree. Oh, I'm so old.